Sorry, guys. Yes, fellow alcoholics. What is up? You can see me a second time here. Uh, guys, welcome to our live stream. First round mock draft. Tre'Shon Diaz will be joining me here in just a little bit, but wanted to welcome in all of our supporters on Patreon and on YouTube. We really appreciate you guys' support. Wanted to get you guys something a little different for this early part of the cycle because let's face it, like we're all kind of getting our feet wet with this draft stuff. And I just don't know a whole lot at this point about the day three guys. And I was like, well, if we're gonna do a full 7 rounder for the Falcons, I'd kind of like to know a little bit more about those later guys so that we could actually have, a productive conversation. And a lot of that knowledge will kind of come after the combine and as we kind of get into that class a little bit more. But in the meantime, what we do know is these first round prospects. These are the guys that we've all watched. We've all seen them play in college football. Well-known guys. Also some guys that really raised their stocks at the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl, which is why Tre'Shon is going to be joining me here in just a little bit as we kick off a live first round mock draft. This is the first time we've actually done like a full first round, not just the Falcons on the channel. So let us know what you guys think. I think it will be very informative. I know we have a number of prospect requests, and we're going to talk about obviously 32 guys and probably several more that are in consideration towards the end of the draft. But it's an interesting first round. There's a lot of moving pieces, obviously, with the Falcons picking at 15. There's a lot more that can happen before their pick as opposed to when they've been picking 8 the last 3 years, 3 years in a row, picking 8. So we're not going to do any trades because we're not going to get too crazy in this one, but we're going to dive into that and sort of give you guys our thoughts on a lot of these top prospects. Excuse me. And yeah, we're gonna just see how it goes. We're gonna freestyle it. We're gonna use PFF Premium Mock Draft Simulator. That is the one that's my go-to these days. Really appreciate the work Trevor Sickham is doing over there at PFF. Go give that a shot if you haven't done it. There's a free version as well. But that's what we're gonna be doing here today on the Falcoholic Live, a live edition of Tuesday Takes. And again, thanks to everyone for joining us. Thanks to all the supporters on Patreon and YouTube. We really appreciate you guys. If you got questions, throw them in the chat. We'll try to discuss as many prospects as we can, within reason here the next hour or so. Just let us know if you have any additional questions. But let me go ahead and welcome in. He is Tre'Shon Diaz. Tre'Shon, welcome back. Little high post Senior Bowl recovery hiatus. How are you doing, my friend? Oh, perhaps he can't hear me yet. Tre'Shon. Don't think he can hear me yet.
So, well, it's telling me my microphone works, but I cannot hear anything you're saying. So is that got the microphone taken care of, folks? We're back. We're back with a working microphone. Unfortunately, the laptop speaker system is not wanting to connect right now. So we are working through that.
We're working through it. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and progress with the ad read, and Tre'Shon will probably get his sound back.
One thing, it is the other.
Probably just get his sound back when I'm in the middle of that. But guys, want to of course thank today's sponsors. First of all, BetOnline. Folks, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball to the NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. Can you hear me now, Tre'Shon?
It is the number one. It is the number one.
It's best.
Bet.
Yeah.
Sorting. Yes.
Yes, I was like, okay, I'm just going to start this, and he's just going to come in at some point, and it'll be fine. But, yeah, guys, check out betonline.ag. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline's got you covered with the odds, the stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Even though the Super Bowl's over, there's a lot more sports out there to get in on. So what are you waiting for? Sign up with our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV to get access to the latest promotions. BetOnline, the game starts here. And, of course, Underdog Fantasy still rolling this week with Underdog. Obviously, no more NFL to pick, but and obviously did not, that game really hosed me, in a lot of ways. I think it hosed the audience, unless you love, but the defense was fun to watch in the first half, I think. Then it was just kind of sad, but it was just kind of
Yeah.
sad after that. But did enjoy, some, who doesn't like some good defense here and there. But Underdog has got you on all the other sports, including NBA, which is going hard right now. And of course, you can continue to play Underdog the same way you play for football, but just with the other sports. They got that unique approach, simple pickup style format. Select the players you believe will outperform expectations. Don't have to worry about the complexities of setting a lineup or traditional DFS. The user-friendly interface and growing community make it fun and easy to play. And when you sign up, make sure to use our promo code BIRDS, that's BIRDS, to get access to the latest promotion, which at the moment I believe is up to a $1,000 deposit match and a free pick as well, which who doesn't like a free pick? So go check that out, guys. Underdog Fantasy, really appreciate those guys sponsoring the show. Tre'Shon, welcome in. I gave you like a whole just rousing intro. It was just so beautiful. And I think you didn't hear a word of it, but how are you recovering from the All-Star circuit?
Yeah, doing well. Got the day job off my back, so now we can get into the good stuff. We can focus on ball, and yeah, that's really what it's been all about. Just kind of looking through all of our notes, looking through more film and some more film and some more film after that.
It just keeps coming, the film. I feel like the film guy is just putting out like three prospects I'm interested in like every drop now. So
Yeah.
a lot to get to. But yeah, I think that's why we've never actually done on this show like a just a first round mock with all the teams. It's always just been Falcons focused, and I think that's actually a good idea because I think it will help inform everyone about sort of just the top prospects in general, even outside of the Falcons' needs, and kind of how this first round is structured right now, what you can kind of expect from the other teams, and there's obviously a lot more chaos that can happen now with the Falcons picking at 15 instead of picking at 8.
Um, yeah, a lot of chaos to be had. There could be some movement. There, anything could happen. Apparently, we've got our sights on Luther Burden from Mizzou. So
Yeah.
hey, you could get that. Don't know how I feel about a non-Alabama first round wide receiver pick, but Drake London's kind of helped with that cause. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, might have to. It was funny like that. I hadn't seen wide receiver at all, and then I saw it twice in the same day. Which is we'll obviously get to that. Cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think both you and I are not in favor. And yeah, well, I don't want to do the show before the show here, but yeah, I think that would be an extremely controversial selection. Not that Luther Burden himself is overly controversial, just that any wide receiver really. I mean, Ted
Yeah.
McMillan would be very tempting. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Okay, like, I'm not talking myselk into that nonsense. But
My, yeah. Yeah. My vision, I already said it earlier. Is if
I
you
know,
want that
I know,
receiver, if you want that
yeah.
outside, the pits for DK Metcalf, man. Just make it happen. Just
I
make it
mean,
happen.
look, I never say never, right? I'm hoping that Kirk Cousins gets traded, which is apparently a fantasy, and I don't know. Maybe the DK Metcalf trade is more likely at this point, given how Kirk is seemingly sabotaging his relationship with the team. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But yeah, let's dive in. I've got my PFF simulator pulled up here, and
Right.
yeah, I think I'm gonna take the odds, and Tre'Shon's gonna take the even teams. And we're not gonna mess with trades. Okay, we're only gonna get so crazy, 1 month into the off season. We'll do trades later. Don't worry, there'll be some craziness that happens. But for now, gonna keep it simple. And yeah, obviously to start things off, I think the first pick is actually kind of not a layup. I think if the Titans probably aren't like everyone mocks Abdul Carter to the Titans here, I think, or a quarterback. And I kind of feel like it's either a quarterback or they're going to trade down because I think somebody is going to be itching for the quarterback, and the Titans don't really have to do it. I mean, I feel like they should, but do they love the quarterbacks here or not? I think that's kind of an open question at this point in the draft. Like, do you love either of these quarterbacks enough to take a number one overall? And I'm curious. Like, we saw some of these quarterbacks obviously over the last couple weeks. Do you think any quarterback is worthy of that type of selection right now?
So I'll just say this: Shador Sanders went to the Shrine Bowl week, everything with the intention of practicing, with the intention of going through everything. Day one is media day, where they get to talk to everybody, including the teams. He was in about an hour apiece, long interview with the top 3 teams, and after walking out of that interview, he uh, was no longer participating in any of the events during Shrine Week. So yeah, I think one of those 3 teams does have interest. Like you said, though, which of those 3 is really, really in all the way? That's where I think it's going to be hard to tell. The Titans, yeah, they're in a good spot, but they're also in that kind of spot where it's like, hey, like maybe it's good to kind of fill in some of these other big needs before we get a quarterback, and just dropping a quarterback on a barren roster. Maybe somebody gives them a call that they can't refuse. So all those things, kind of still play into like those top 3 teams, like even if they didn't want Shador, yeah, they still want the hype around him to be really high so that teams come calling, teams come looking. So, it's going to be tough, but I do think we're going to see 2 QBs come off in those first 3 picks.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I'm gonna take a quarterback here, just because I think a quarterback is going one, even if the Titans don't make the pick. A quarterback's probably going one. And yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to know which quarterback the NFL has number one. I mean, I personally think Cam Ward is just a hair more interesting. I mean, I think he's got the higher ceiling probably, but I don't know. I don't know what they want, but I'm gonna go Cam Ward at number one, and we'll see if it's him or Shador. That's gonna be a debate all the way down to the wire here. But gonna go with Cam Ward at pick number one. Maybe the Titans do it, maybe they don't when the time comes, but somebody takes a quarterback at one.
All right, Cam Ward. And so now, Cleveland, we're in a really sticky spot here. Myles Garrett wants out. I'm operating under the impression that we're going to do that. So we're going to get rid of a blue chip tier 1 player. And we don't really have a deep edge room. So, I'm looking, and I really like Abdul Carter. The Browns, I'm also really smart, and I'm like, I can trade for Kirk Cousins and get a really, decent deal. Would want to do that before he gets cut, because then he hits the market, and then I got to compete with the other thirsty 20 teams that are going to be after him. So, I think with this pick, we're going Abdul Carter. We're gonna take edge one. We're gonna lose our edge one, so we're gonna take an edge one. We're not worried about the QB situation this year because all hope is lost. We're losing Myles Garrett. We've got no money, so we're just gonna do the smart thing here and build for the future.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that if they are going to trade Myles Garrett, I think Abdul Carter is the way they go, and I think I'd have him as the overall player, like number one player in the class. Obviously, Travis Hunter is like a singular player too, but I do think Abdul Carter showed this year just how incredible he is and how high his ceiling is, which is top 5 certainly worthy in this draft class. And with Carter off the board, I do again here. We don't know what's going to happen in free agency yet, so because of that, we have to assume that these guys, everybody that needs a quarterback still needs a quarterback. We don't know who's going to do what. But if the Giants don't address quarterback going into this draft, first of all, that's going to make like pick 1 and 2 extremely coveted, because people know one of the quarterbacks is coming off at 3. So we have to get ahead of them if we want our choice, or if we're fine with the other one, then whatever. But I do think the Giants ultimately do go with the quarterback. They kind of need to. And I think they'd probably be better off not spending a ton of free agency money to get someone in there. So I'm going to go Shador Sanders here for the Giants and crush the Raiders' hearts and dreams. But definitely, like I would say though, like as a more of a meta conversation, that I think the Raiders are the team to watch to trade up to that number 1 pick to get Shador, because it seems like they really love him. I don't know if that's just smoke or what, but gonna go Shador here at 3 to the Giants.
Man, this is one. Like, the Patriots can do anything.
Yeah.
They have so much freedom in terms of like the moves they're able to make in free agency. And And then at this point, I mean, you're staring down at some legit talent. Um, and I think, you know, it's not really it's not really a massive need for them, but there's something about Travis Hunter that I've been realizing, and it's that he's kind of boring. A lot of people seem to have expected some larger than life personality to be attached to this guy, but he just loves ball, and like he has a very simple, it seems like personality. The guy's just a guy. And so I think he fits New England so well. It makes, of course, New England gets the steal and gets the player that a lot of people think is the best player in the entire draft at the fourth pick. So we're taking Travis Hunter here, and they're just going to figure out, a spot for that man because he can ball anywhere.
Yeah, I like that. I think New England would be ecstatic to have Travis Hunter fall to them. I think that would make the pick really simple because I think their assumption will be that he's gone, and if he's there, if he's not there, then they're like, okay. Like I've even heard Ashton Jeanty could be in play here because look, like
Huh?
they're kind of in a spot where they just need to take the most impactful players they can, and damn what happens otherwise. So, yeah, I think the Patriots would be really happy with the way this fell if that's the way it goes. Moving on to the Jaguars, I do think this one is kind of chalky too. I don't think the Jaguars can pass on Mason Graham. Like they so desperately need that on their defense.
Mm.
I do think obviously a corner like Will Johnson would be tempting. I just think Mason Graham's higher on the board overall. So I think that the Jaguars beef up their D line with the bet, like other than Abdul Carter, definitely the best defensive lineman in this draft in Mason Graham.
All right. I like it. Yeah, they need interior play really badly.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So the Raiders,
They're gonna be
another
upset
really
if this
tough pick.
happens. Yeah.
It's a really tough pick. So this is the first pick of the Tom Brady era. Both quarterbacks are gone at this point, and you know, as much as I want to believe, and as much as I do believe that Ashton Jeanty makes a ton of sense at this spot, I just cannot see Tom Brady. I just cannot see Tom Brady, who lived off of day three running backs throughout most of his career, falling into this and saying we need to go running back round one. I think he's going to look at trench play. I think they at this spot take Will Campbell and again figure it out. We're just taking the best player. We're building up the trenches. We just watched what happened to the Chiefs. Will Campbell, somebody that's going to be here for the next decade plus, and we're never going to regret taking him at pick 6. So that's my pick.
Yeah, I like that. Just like a real meat and potatoes start to that era for them. Like if you can't get a quarterback, get the guys that are going to prop up your quarterback. Like if you think Tet McMillan is a legit wide receiver one, I could see them going that route. I could also see like Will Johnson, a legit CB one, or a tackle. But I think a tackle, like I think this makes a lot of sense long term too. Like you get the tackle in there, you get him settled as a rookie. Then by the time you get the young quarterback in next year, your tackle is ready to go. You're not having a rookie tackle
Yeah.
and a rookie quarterback. Like you're going to be able to kind of get him seasoned before the quarterback comes in. I think that's a great idea for them. Jets at 7. This is another spot
Tough.
where it's kind of tough. I think they could use a lot. I think obviously, you know, I don't know the Jets free agency super well, but I do think that this is a team that has always had offensive line needs. I think they could use, a corner pretty badly. There's this one is a tough pick. I think given how I look at this class, Josh Simmons would be someone I would consider, but I know that there's some questions about like how healthy is he and that sort of thing. How is he going to be coming off that injury? So I have the slight lean towards getting like Will Johnson for the Jets. They got obviously a defensive minded head coach in there. Let's solidify the secondary completely with an elite cornerback addition in Will Johnson to give them arguably the best secondary in the NFL at that point, or I mean, definitely the best
Look good.
cornerback room. And you could save, like DJ Reed, maybe that lets you have the flexibility to move on there. Not that they need to, but The cap situation there, I think, is a little dicey. So if you didn't have to give DJ Reed a huge contract, you bring in Will Johnson instead. Could be a way to save a little bit of cap space and hopefully not see a big fall off there on defense.
All right. So Will Johnson going to the Jets. I like it. Okay. And Carolina, this is a team who I probably would have had like edge, like really penciled in, but based on how our board has fallen, it would seem crazy to pass up Ted McMillan in this spot. Ted McMillan at pick 8, first receiver off the board. Bryce Young finally has somebody to throw to besides, nobody, because he has nobody. Adam Thielen, you know what? Sorry, Adam, you did cook my slot cornerback, so I'm going to give you some respect. But we're going to go with Ted McMillan here for the Panthers at 8.
Yeah, I could see that, and that is what pains me, to not have taken him earlier. But I couldn't do it. But I do think that that's a good pick for them. I also feel like weirdly that they'll be very tempted by Jalen Walker. I don't know why I feel that, but Jalen Walker has some like huge fans, and I personally don't like. I mean, I get it, right? I mean, you look at him, right? I mean, I can see why people are hyped. I don't get like the top 10 hype, but there does seem to be a lot of it. So I do wonder if someone like really goes hard for that. But yeah, at this point, sucks to see Ted McMillan go to the Panthers, but I'm much happier that he didn't last here at 9 to the Saints, because I think that would have been even worse.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad we don't have to have that particular nightmare. I do. The Saints, man. I really, I have to put on my like non-biased hat and try to actually do something that makes sense here. I honestly think like Shamar Stewart, like that he is their type. But I don't know, like this is a new coaching staff. They just hired Kellen Moore today officially. It is an offensive head coach coming in. So I think like I was tempted, like, oh, maybe they would go that direction because they just love those huge edge rushers. But I do think like they desperately need to fix that offense. And they just desperately need wide receiver help too. So I'm gonna go Luther Burden here with Ted McMillan off the board. And Saints are gonna bolster that with their new offensive-minded head coach.
All right. And again, this is just another team benefiting from how the board fell. We are sprinting to the podium to get this Ashton Jeanty pick in here. Caleb finally gets a reliable bell cow that he can hand that ball off to, because I think they're going to focus on having him hand the ball off a little bit more. Ben Johnson just got done with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. He values running backs, and he has been a part of a team that's taken one in the top 15. So Ashton Jeanty, welcome to the Ben Johnson offense.
Yeah, that's a great one. I know Dallas fans are probably like furious, watching GT go, because I think there's a lot of love for him in Dallas, but he's a Bijan type of prospect, and I think he's again not a guy that's gonna get far, even though he is a running back. San Francisco here, they have a couple of needs. I think the offensive line is the biggest one. Like, are we like Trent Williams? Love him. The health has been a big issue. And do we really trust Colton McKivitz long term? I don't. But I don't think the 49ers do either. I'm trying to think of who like they would prefer. I know it seems like the NFL as a whole is higher on Kelvin Banks than like Josh Simmons. I think Josh Simmons' tape, like before he got hurt, was elite. But again, I think with the injury questions, and maybe those will be answered more before after the combine. I think at this point, probably Kelvin Banks is the pick here for the 49ers at 11.
Okay, we're going Kelvin. All right. I think honestly, I don't think you could go wrong with either of those two picks. I think kind of both really work with what they want to do, but I'm with you. I think they're looking at O-line, and since, besides whatever you think of Will Campbell, in terms of true prototypical tackle builds, these is really the first two that are kind of waiting for you at the board. And then so just now looking, this pick, like to me, I wasn't sure just based on the O line needs of the Cowboys, but we're gonna go with Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. Um, Tyler Warren is gonna help the Cowboys do what they want to do, which is get back to running the football really well. But this man is like, it just seems like he's gonna look like Jason Witten when he's out there, throwback, traditional white tight end that can just do it all. Really good player. There are people that talk about Tyler Warren and they think he's one of the 10 best players in this draft class. We've seen tight ends become more valuable with the Bowers pick, with the Pitts pick, and so on. So we know that teams are more inclined than ever to start taking these guys if it fills what they want to do. And I think Dallas is just in need of that next weapon, and I think Warren is the best weapon available at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's just a really special tight end prospect and the type that's going to tempt teams to just pick him and make it work, and that, Dallas definitely needs firepower opposite CD Lamb. They miss out on the other best sort of two options in Tetroy McMillan, Ashton Jeanty, and Tyler Warren is the one they end up with, but I think they'd be perfectly happy to come away with that. Um, Now the Dolphins, again, this is another spot where I look towards offensive line. Um, and I think that makes me lean a bit more towards Josh Simmons here. The Dolphins have just had inconsistency along the offensive line. I think you take Simmons, put him at tackle, kind of shuffle if you need to other spots. But I know they need interior help too. So maybe that pushes them more towards like Armand Membu, who a lot of people have projected as an interior guy. I think he's a tackle, but I'm sure Josh Simmons, if you had to play him at guard, would be just fine too. So we'll go Josh Simmons here for the Dolphins at pick 13.
All right. And then the Colts, after taking an edge rusher last year who is more on the uh, pass rush bag technician side of things, we're just going to go with some good old school power. We're just going to take Shamar Stewart. We're just going to let him be the wrecking ball that he is. I'm pretty high on Shamar. I think that he's got the athletic traits that are going to transfer really well. And having somebody like Latu to help teach him some extra pass rush moves is going to come in handy as well. I think this is a duo that is going to make a lot of sense in terms of what they each bring. You get a really unique skill set from both of them. And I think the Colts are just really going to bolster that defensive front, the Eagles method, if you will, and just take big SEC defensive linemen.
Yeah, I think that matches really what they want at that spot pretty well. Should help them out. I think they were maybe hoping to get more of that from like Quiddy Pay, and it didn't exactly pan out the way they hoped. So take another swing at a just huge, imposing defensive lineman and Shamar Stewart. And yeah, I think the way this board fell, the Falcons probably very happy. They have like I would say like 4 or 5 really good options. I to me like I'm going to take Mike Green. But I do really like James Pierce. I had him in the first Falcons mock, and I definitely think like if they want just the best pass rusher, probably James Pierce. I do think Mike Green's build is a little bit more well rounded, and I think he showed really impressive like speed to power at the Senior Bowl that he didn't always show at Marshall because he didn't really need to. He just kind of dusted everyone he played. But I think Mike Green showed at the Senior Bowl that he is absolutely a well-rounded pass rusher that can win in a lot of ways. I think he gives the Falcons a little bit more on early downs than Pierce would, especially given that the Falcons already kind of have a Pierce type of guy in Arnold Becaty. I don't know that you really want two of them on the field at the same time. I think Mike Green and Arnold Becaty could play absolutely together without issue. So I go for Mike Green here, but James Pierce is on my mind. Also, Malachi Starks, he had a down year, but he fits exactly what the Falcons need. Like they need a versatile nickel safety player. Malachi Starks and Jade Barron for me would absolutely be in the discussion as to the type of players the Falcons would take here. Maybe a slight lean towards Barron just because I think he's so damn good. His tape is so fun. Um, you know, uh, I think Georgia players or Georgia fans maybe prefer Malachi Starks. I wouldn't argue with you too much, But ultimately, if it was up to me, I go Mike Green here. They need the edge rusher so bad. I know that there's a lot of people that are, you know, freaking out about Mock sending the Falcons a receiver. I would never consider that here. I just don't think there's any receiver. Like even like if Tet falls, yes, it's very tempting, but like you can only squeeze so much more out of this offense before you need the defense to be able to do something. And the pass rush desperately needs Mike Green. So, Mike Green, here you go.
I like it. I like it. And for those at home curious, I'm not sure what it says on Kevin's side, but I did get an alert from the PFF system that we had 2 trade offers come in at this pick. And so the 2 teams that were interested were Denver, pick 20, and the Steelers, pick 21. And so, hearing Kevin's explanation, you just heard him name 4 or 5 guys. We didn't even talk about like Michael Williams, or a couple of other players, Princely Umanmielen. Princely Umanmielen. I'm going to have that down. Other guys who you kind of like in that pick 20 range and stuff. Obviously, we're not doing, any of the trade stuff, but those ideally are kind of like, for me, what I would like to see if they did do something. Get down to that early 20 range, still leaves you with some options. But hey, Falcons get Mike Green, we're cooking. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
And all right. Okay. Yeah. The Cardinals.
Halfway.
Cardinals
Pick
are
16. Yeah.
Cardinals are weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like any of the tackles enough at this point to take them. And this player played, like, a lot of people saw him going in at center and stuff, but he did do reps at guard. I do think he's being kind of billed as like maybe the best interior O-line option right now, just due to his versatility, and that's Gray Zabel. And we're going to take Gray Zabel here. I think it makes a lot of sense, helps the Cardinals fill their guard needs. He's somebody that could also give them play at center if they needed, and maybe could even do some spot duty at tackle if injuries got really bad. So really valuing versatility here. We're going to go with Gray Zabel.
All right. Gray Zabel, big winner from the Senior Bowl, who had a lot of success at a lot of different spots. And without like a real, like, true, like, top center, like, he could be that prospect for sure in this class. Also, another reason why the Falcons aren't going to let Drew Dahlman walk.
Yeah, there's 2 teams picking after him are very upset that he just went off the board, because these are 2 teams that are dying for interior O-line play. And this is a thin class.
It's a tough spot here for the Bengals. I know a lot of folks really like Armand Membu. And I think Daniel Jeremiah has him listed as an interior offensive lineman. So that's kind of the direction I go here for the Bengals. We don't know if they're going to bring T. Higgins back or not. Probably seems like not. So they could consider wide receiver here, but they just got to protect Joe Burrow. Like, if Joe Burrow's healthy, that team, he just makes it work. But if you got to keep Joe Burrow upright. That's his one weakness. Is that you can't have a bad O-line in front of him, because he can get hurt. And I think they go with Armand Membu, probably a little earlier than some would have him, but I do think that he is very well liked, I think, by the scouting community, and DJ seems to have him as a top guard prospect, so he goes off here at 17 to the Bengals.
Yeah, I like Membu. I think he's interesting. There's so many guys that just are getting really versatile. And like, I do think that you could get away with kind of playing him inside. Like, it reminds me a lot of Bergeron,
Yeah, I can see that too.
Okay. Seattle Seahawks, a lot of needs here. But we're sitting on an embarrassment of riches at the edge position right now. We got to get somebody off the board here. We're getting Micah Williams off here at 18. Almost feels crazy that he was left at this point. I know that a lot of people are really high on him, and he's ranked as the 18th player by PFF. So it kind of feels like a good sweet spot for him. And so Eagles are taking one of them dogs.
Yeah, I could see that. I think he's definitely someone that is probably going to go off in this range. Especially when DJ kind of like quietly revealed that he played hurt most of the season. Um, and that obviously matters a lot for an edge rusher. So that could explain some of the not really like lack of production, just sort of not explosive production for Michael Williams. I think teams think he'll be a much better pro, as are a lot of Georgia players. The Georgia defense really asked these guys like, Michael Williams shouldn't be playing 4i, okay? Like we shouldn't be doing this to him, but Georgia just asked these guys to do whatever they can, and these guys obviously great teammates are willing to do it, but it's not the best for their draft stock sometimes. Um, so yeah, I mean it pains me because obviously we leave some great players on the board here for Tampa. James Pierce Jr. is still here. I think they can't pass on that. They're going to take James Pierce, and I'm upset about it. But again, I have to do my best to not be biased, and I don't think the Bucks would let James Pierce pass them by at this point in the draft.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree with you here. I could definitely see them swooping him up. All right. This one is like, how did the NFL let this happen? And we're gonna add Jade Barron to this absolutely disgusting Broncos defense. And now you have a guy who can play safety, he can cover the slot. Patrick Surtain's job is it's like, now good luck. Now you have 1/3 of this field of the football field that you can throw to. And I just think he elevates that defense to just the next level, which with all the speed they already have just feels insane.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I hadn't thought of that pairing before, but that actually makes perfect sense for them, especially given how like critical the slot is, and that's why I think the Falcons should consider Barron at 15. The slot is a premium defensive position now. It's no longer a day 2, day 3 afterthought pick. It's one that you gotta have, especially if you're gonna play an obsessive amount of nickel, which we also suspect the Falcons will continue to do that. So, pick 21 here. If I could take an offensive coordinator, no, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Arthur. I had to throw one last jab there, but yeah, the Steelers, like, obviously they got George Pickens. They really do need firepower offensively. I think
Yeah.
I think they would probably be happy to come away with Mika Egbuka here. Don't really have an imposing slot presence. That would be a great compliment to Pickens on the outside. We do know that Arthur Smith doesn't throw to receivers or use receivers, so this is an interesting pairing. He does, however, like to draft them, so they will draft Egbuka here. Whether he's utilized in a way that makes sense or that fantasy players would ever agree with is an open question, of course. But he does end up in Pittsburgh, and given that he's a wide receiver drafted in Pittsburgh, is probably going to be like the first receiver off the board, in drafts or something like that, given their pedigree. So.
All right. I like it. It makes a ton of sense. A slot receiver for Arthur Smith. Yeah, hammer that. Like, not the fastest guy, even better. Good blocker.
Loves
love
it. Yeah.
So it's perfect. Perfect Arthur Smith receiver. And sticking with extremely expected picks, we are taking Kenneth Grant, and we are bolstering Jim Harbaugh's defensive line. That man wants to attack the trenches, and this man is going to help him do it. He coached him. It feels serendipitous that he ended up landing here at 22, and it's going to be a great story. And Justin Herbert, you're going to figure out how to throw to the random people we bring in off the street.
You're just going to have to deal with it, Justin Herbert. No, there are other rounds in the draft, so I assume they will definitely try to make some more additions at receiver. I know Matthew Golden's like a popular pick for them here, but I agree that Kenneth Grant just like screams like Jim Harb, like it just does. So I'm not surprised there at all. I could see like Walter Nolan too, but that's kind of like a completely different direction. But like I don't know, one of those guys. Like I agree. Like they're gonna beef up the D line. Like it doesn't matter what the other needs are. It's gonna be D line. So, all right, we got Green Bay at pick 23. Yeah, this team is an interesting one. Like, obviously the defense was a little bit problematic. They don't really have like an established wide receiver one. I wonder if this is kind of where we see Malachi Starks come off. I mean, I know
Huh?
like that they just kind of need secondary help. I don't exactly where. But Malachi Starks could help you at safety. He could help you at nickel corner as well. I think this is just like he's fallen a little too far here. So I feel like a team like Green Bay pounces on him falling, and we'll just kind of figure out where he's going to play his rookie season.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think there's yeah, they're kind of their back end needs work kind of anywhere, and it just feels like a player of this caliber making it here feels like an accident. So I'm with you. I like that pick. Um, hmm, this is tough. This is tough. Hmm. you
Hmm.
know, Walter Nolan, it seems like he's built for the NASCAR package. Just a Brian Flores type guy, get vertical, cause chaos, go crazy. The fit just seems too good to pass up here. He's not the most refined player, and I think that's kind of why some people are a little in the middle on him. But you just see the juice. He oozes explosiveness. Explosiveness. His first step is insane. So the Vikings are going to add another piece to that uh, very fun, high blitzing defense in Walter Nolan. And Walter might help them not have to blitz as much, too, which I'm sure that Flores, as much as he likes to do it, would probably like to be able to get there with four more often.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense for what they need, and what their where their free agency is at too. Yeah, that feels very much like a Vikings defensive line pick. We got Texans here at 25. They need interior help on the offensive line. I feel like we listed off like six teams that all need interior help. This is not a deep interior class at all. So they're in a dangerous spot here with that. I think they're probably not going to be able to justify that. I think this is a team that you know could probably, I don't know, like Stephon Diggs, is he coming back?
Yeah, he's
All
a free
these
agent. That's
right.
tough.
Tank Dell, is he ever going to be healthy again? This is a team that might need to sort of go that wide receiver route. I think there's like one more like first round caliber guy still here in Matthew Golden.
Hmm.
So I think that the Texans look at the board. They need the interior really bad, but there's not really a guy you want to take here. So instead of reaching there, you go for Matthew Golden. You don't have to worry too much about Tank Dell this year. Maybe you bring back Diggs. Maybe you go a different direction there, but you get Golden in the building to help out with Nico Collins, and you're feeling pretty good about that offense.
I like it. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think you gotta prep for the future. It's probably going to be tough to bring back Diggs and make some of these other moves they need to make. So, um, yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. Oh man, now the Rams. This is Rams needed tackle play last year as well. And I know they took um who they got? They got the Alabama guy. Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Boy. I'm not really sure if we want to go offense here. It kind of feels like we're reaching a little bit, but I'm I'm gonna go ahead. Let me double check. One other group. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and take Connerly Jr. here.
Okay.
I think he's the best available tackle. He's a true tackle as well, which is what they need. So I think that before, after them, there's a lot of teams that have that need, from the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Commanders. So I think we get the best available tackle here, and we move.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't think he was going to last much longer in this exercise either. I think
Yeah.
he was soon to be drafted. Um, Ravens here at 27. They're probably upset watching Matthew Golden go off a few picks before him. I think they would have really liked to add
Yeah, I
there.
agree.
Um, I think the Ravens are a team that really maximizes value, which is why I think I think this is the team that could take Benjamin Morrison. I think
Yeah.
he's someone again. There's some injury questions, this year, but the tape the previous year was so good that you just kind of are willing to roll the dice. The Ravens seem like a team that's willing to do that. He gives them like a different kind of corner compared to like Nate Wiggins. Um, and with Marlon Humphrey's like injury history starting to pile up a bit, I think they want to continue beefing up that secondary. Uh, we saw kind of what it looked like when they were injured there. The depth at corner is lacking, so get Benjamin Morrison in the building and really beef up that secondary.
All right, I like it, Benjamin Morrison. All right, and the Lions are kind of sitting at a really nice spot here. They're allowed to play a little fast and loose. We do have interior needs, but this there's not really anybody I think that you want to make that big jump for here. And so we're gonna go with a guy who many had pegged as a bona fide like top 15 prospect. I feel like coming into this year, and we're gonna take Nick Scarton. And so they need edge. They need somebody opposite. And I know Jack Sawyer's kind of been like the popular, like, oh, Aiden Hutchinson, Ohio State versus Michigan on the opposite ends. I just don't think he is a first round caliber guy, especially compared to some of the other talent we have on the board here. So we're going to go with Nick Scorton to the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I like that. He definitely feels like a Detroit Lions type of prospect to me, for sure. Um, all right, 29, the Commanders. This is a team that could also
Kind of love the
use.
board for them right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys here. I think they would like. I think a lot. They need secondary help. There's a lot of good corners here. I know Siobhan Ravel has a total huge following. Again, another injured cornerback that had a tremendous tape the year before. A lot of these guys in this class. I know Trey Amos has a lot of fans. I think guys like this is where you could start considering guys like Alec Yomanor at receiver, Jack Beck, and Colston Loveland. Even I mean I know they got a lot out of Zach Ertz, but you wonder how long that is going to go. But you see like how much Jaden Daniels loved the tight end,
Huh?
and really targeted Zach Ertz, and that to me makes me lean towards Colston Loveland here, even though I think it's kind of not a typical fit. I think Jaden Daniels showed you that he is really good at throwing to the tight end and he loves it.
Yeah.
They need passing game help. Colston Loveland helps you in the run game too.
Yeah. It helps them run a lot.
So I think he's just the best like offensive weapon on the board at this point. So I think you go that route. I think I like the value of that a little bit better than some of the secondary guys. But I mean, they could also go for like edge rush help. I think there's some guys here that are interesting with that. But I think Colston Loveland here to the Commanders.
I like it.
A little spicy here at the
A little
end.
spicy, but a lot of people are really high on this tight end class. I've seen multiple mocks, from the big wigs that have Loveland going in around like top 20, 25. So
Yeah.
I think you're on to something here. Really good player that a lot of teams are going to like. And when you have run blocking issues at the tackle position, a tight end can be their best friend sometimes. And like you said, he's somebody that's going to help the run game a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Buffalo Bills. Okay, man. Wow. We gotta do something about this Patrick Mahomes fellow more than anything. We know Josh can make it work with whoever or whatever he's got. And the position that was really sticking out more and more to me as we start to get down and around here is the linebacker position. Once you hit these 30s, round 2 is when everybody tells you it's okay to take a linebacker. So that means that if you're in pick 30, you're in safe range. It's going to be okay. And I think that if I'm the Bills here, golly, they've got some decent options, but I'm really stuck between Revel for them and Jahad Campbell. Love Revel's tape. I think he fits McDermott's defense really well. Big corner, big like that, like seems to have a lot of those traits that he values. But highly value linebackers, coverage ability. When you look at what Zach Bond did for the Eagles offense and how he was able to kind of help keep Mahomes in check and that running game in check, it just feels like that's the move at this point for the Bills defense. They do need interior D-line help, but this class is so deep that I think they can find a guy to do that for them later. And we're going to take the best linebacker in the class, in my opinion, in Jahad Campbell here.
Yeah, yeah, and that one makes a ton of sense. I could definitely see that. I could see Campbell going earlier too. When it's all said and done. And that makes me remember that PFF hates Jalen Walker. So Jalen Walker's still here. So yeah, I mean
That's PFF, not us, folks.
that's not us. Yeah. So I mean Jalen Walker being here, obviously, you're not likely to see that in many drafts, but it's not my fault they put him down at 54, so I didn't even see him on the board. Okay, can't expect me to remember like all 45 like first round picks in the back of my head at once. That's a lot. That's a lot to keep in there. Um,
Like they're really low.
Yeah, yeah, extremely low. But I think the Chiefs are always an interesting team. They're kind of willing to really take defense. I think they would consider more like help for Patrick Mahomes. I think they would love to get offensive line reinforcements, but again, you're not really loving how this board fell for offensive line help. I maybe Ariante Ursary could be somebody for them here. I know he's got a lot of fans potentially in this range. But I am, I do wonder if they would go that route. If they would sort of reach there for Ariante, or if they would try to go with another really good player here. And I think they're probably gonna not reach. I think it's just a little early for Ursary still, even though they really need tackle help.
Donovan Jackson is still available here as well, who's
very
intriguing.
Yeah.
That was the Ohio State lineman that got kicked out to left tackle and suddenly looked like he could be the best left tackle in the class.
That's right. Yeah, maybe they would take a chance on something like that, like given where they are. I mean, they have to fix the protection. They could take more D-line help. They could take another linebacker, but like those positions are fine for the most part.
Yeah.
So maybe this is like an opportunity to kind of take a risk on the Donovan Jackson, who, it's not like you have any super clean prospects left to choose from. Maybe swing for the fences here. I actually like that. It kind of feels like a Chiefs move. Like they did that with the other offensive tackle they took a couple years ago.
Yeah, and it didn't work out.
It didn't work out,
but like you have to take shots.
Yeah. So I like that. We'll go Donovan Jackson here for the Chiefs. And then I've left you the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever with the Eagles.
Yeah, and like we're gonna do it.
Of course, we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Because this is what the Eagles do. Their strategy is to just let all the other teams forget about this like one player that everybody was obsessed with during the cycle, but somehow didn't get drafted. And so Jalen Walker is sitting here at the end of the first round. And again, like just like so you guys know, they have him ranked below like Demetrius Knight, Landon Jackson, Princely, JTT, Carson Schweisinger, and like a bunch of other people. We're not quite down for
Trevor
all that.
hates Jalen Walker. All right, Trevor
I did not realize
hates Jalen Walker.
This.
Yeah, Trevor hates Jalen Walker. So like I thought I was low on Jalen Walker until I saw Trevor's ranking, but unlikely obviously. But look, I mean the Eagles do this every year, so
yeah, it works for them. It wouldn't work for us, but it works for them. So we're ending this with Jalen Walker to the Eagles. Did not plan that at all. That's just exactly how it works.
Yeah, it's quite a first round. I think it actually mimicked like some of the craziness very well too. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I think we covered most, if not all, of the prospects people had asked about during the mock. But yeah, if you guys have other prospects you want to hear about, let us know. We're just getting started here. Draft season, obviously the combine coming in a couple weeks. Lots going on. Recap the first round real quick for you guys before we sign off today. I had the odds. Tre'Shon had the evens. So at number one with no trades, by the way, guys. If you're joining late, number one Cam Ward, the quarterback, going to the Titans. Number two Abdul Carter, the edge rusher, going to the Browns. Number three Shadur Sanders, the quarterback, going to the Giants. Number four Travis Hunter, the corner slash receiver, going to the Patriots. Number five, the defensive tackle Mason Graham, going to the Jaguars. Number six, offensive tackle Will Campbell, going to the Raiders. Number seven, we have cornerback Will Johnson, going to the Jets. Number eight, wide receiver Tetaroya McMillan, going to the Carolina Panthers. Number nine, we had wide receiver Luther Burden the third, going to the Saints. Number 10, running back Ashton Jeanty to the Bears. Number 11, offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. going to the San Francisco 49ers. Number 12, the Cowboys get tight end Tyler Warren. Number 13, offensive tackle Josh Simmons going to the Dolphins. Number 14, Colts take edge rusher Shamar Stewart. Number 15, the Falcons. Our Falcons take edge rusher Mike Green. Let us know what you guys think about that one. Obviously, I'm sure we will get some takes, but I expect most people will be pretty happy with that. But 16, the Arizona Cardinals take the versatile offensive lineman Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. Number 17, the Bengals take offensive tackle Armand Mambu from Missouri. Number 18, the Seahawks grab edge rusher Michael Williams. And number 19, the Bucks grab James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher from Tennessee. Number 20, the Broncos take cornerback Jahdae Barron from Texas. Number 21, the Steelers get Arthur Smith's dream receiver, Emeka Egbuka, from Ohio State. Number 22, Kenneth Grant reunites with Jim Harbaugh, the defensive tackle from Michigan. We got Malachi Starks, the defensive back safety hybrid, going to the Packers. At number 24, the Vikings take defensive tackle Walter Nolan. Number 25, the Texans grabbing wide receiver Matthew Golden. Number 26, the Los Angeles Rams take tackle Josh Connolly Jr. from Oregon. 27, the Ravens grab cornerback Benjamin Morrison. At number 28, the Lions grab the most Lions edge rusher in the draft in Nick Scourton. At number 29, the Commanders go for tight end Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. Number 30, the Bills grab linebacker Jahad Campbell from Alabama. Number 31, Chiefs take Ohio State tackle Jonathan Jackson. And at 32, of course, the Eagles come in and grab the Georgia player Jalen Walker, linebacker, at number 32. All right. Yeah, Tre'Shon, how do you feel? How do you feel about it?
Feeling pretty good about it. Like you said, I think we did a good job of kind of working with consensus, but then also kind of seeing how teams value certain positions and players and how they fit within their own offenses, defenses, and schemes. Because sometimes players just too good to pass up, regardless of what you might already have in the building. And just based on what we know now, I like how this board goes. Obviously, we'll have opinions continue to change as more information is distributed. We'll get those combine figures that we all love so much. Then we'll get those pro day figures that say those combine clocks are liars. They don't test right there. We get an extra 3 inches on our vertical on campus. So, we still got a lot of more data to take in, and it's going to be nice to go through the process. But ultimately, it kind of shows you that there's so many different moves that the Falcons are going to be able to make at that 15 pick that you just feel good about that spot this year.
Yeah, they'll have a lot of options. I think if we don't see that sort of tackle run happen, the teams will be calling about moving up for a tackle. If we don't see the wide receivers go off early, teams will be calling about the wide receivers. The Falcons probably will have options to trade down if they want. And if they don't execute a Pitts trade, don't get other picks in the door, they're probably going to have to strongly consider the trade down as we kind of need to do this, which I think would be good. I think trade downs typically are good business, but, the Falcons have executed one, which is, more than the last regime. But it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing eventually. But I think this is a good look, sort of, at how the first round could play out early in the process. So, guys, thanks so much again for joining us. Thanks to our patrons and supporters for supporting the show. Really appreciate you guys too. Thanks for joining us today. And yeah, if you guys got your own takes, your own spicy picks, let us know in the comments. Thanks again, of course, to BetOnline and to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's episode. We will be back on Wednesday night for Falcoholic Live to discuss the Falcons' impending free agents and who they should bring back. Drew Dahlman, obviously, is number one for me. Spoiler alert, but still, please do watch. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kevin Knight. He's Tre'Shon Diaz. We are happy to be back here on Tuesday Takes. A little bit of a later edition, technically, but still Tuesday, still takes, still works. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. We'll see you next time.